Now just imagine this. You have just closed a big business deal entirely online. No papers were exchanged, just emails and a digital signature. A week later, the other party hints that the contract might not be legally binding since nothing has been signed on paper. Panic sets in, right? Are you really protected under the law? Welcome to the new age of digital signatures and e-contracts in India. In today's video, we will demystify what's actually legal about signing contracts electronically. We'll break down the Indian laws in plain English and share real stories of businesses that navigated this terrain. By the end, you will know how to embrace the e-contracts confidently and avoid costly pitfalls. Now, why digital signatures matters for the Indian business, guys? Digital transactions have become the norm, especially after the pandemic pushed us towards remote work, guys. Businesses, large or small, are executing contracts via email, signing PDFs, or using platforms like DocSign and Aadhaar eSign. It's a faster and more efficient than chasing for physical signatures, right? In fact, Indian companies regularly use e-signatures for things like vendor agreements, employee offer letters, and NDAs. But convenience aside, the big question remains: are these e-contracts legally enforceable in India? Let's dive into the legal framework that govern the digital signatures so you know where you stand. Now, talking about the legal foundation, Indian Information Technology Act and the contract law are the base. India was actually ahead of the curve in realizing the electronic contracts. The Information Technology Act 2000 provides the legal scaffolding for e-commerce, electronic records, and digital signatures. An important amendment was brought in 2008, introducing Section 10A, which explicitly validates contracts formed through electronic means. In simple terms, an electronic contract cannot be denied enforceability just because it was created or signed digitally. So if you have a valid offer and acceptance via emails or online forms, it can be a binding contract under the Indian law, even with no paper in sight. The age-old Indian contract in 1872 still applies for the basic. There has to be offer, acceptance, consideration, etc. But it doesn't forbid digital agreements. Section 10A of the IT Act essentially says that an e-contract is just as good as a paper contract as long the general contract essentials are met. This legal recognition boosts the confidence of the e-business across India. However, note that certain documents are the exceptions. Now, originally, the IT Act did not apply to a few types of documents listed in its first schedule. These used to include wills, negotiable instruments like promissory notes, the power of attorneys, the real estate sale deeds, etc. Now, such documents traditionally required physical execution. But here's the good news. In October 2022, some of these restrictions were relaxed for specific cases like certain financial documents and immovable property contracts, allowing for more digital execution. But generally, for wills, property transactions, you still need pen and paper signatures. Now, in this segment, I actually want to talk about the types of electronic signatures recognized in India. So, not all digital signatures are created equal. Indian law recognizes a tiered approach to e-signatures, and the first one is the Digital Signature Certificate, the DSCs. Now, these are important and the most secure form of e-signatures issued by a licensed certifying authorities in India. The DSC uses a public key cryptography, a private key to sign, and a public key to verify to unequally identify the signer. In India, you might hear class 2, class 3 level of DSC. Essentially, these are the level of verifications. Now, class 3 is a higher assurance certificate that requires thorough identity checks. Even personal appearance for the verification is required. Now, using a DSC to sign a document means it has been cryptographically signed and any tampering will invalidate the signature. Under Section 5 of the IT Act, a valid digital signature satisfies any requirement for a signature on a document. Now, if I have to speak in legal terms, a certified digital signature is given the same weight as a handwritten signature. Now, there's no denying the contract just because the signature is digitally signed. The second type is actually the electronic signatures, that is often known as e-signatures, right? Now, this is a broader category. It includes any electronic form of e-signature, or rather, I would say any electronic method of authenticating a document, as long as it's reliable and meets the criteria as per Section 3A of the IT Act. Now think of things like typing your name at the end of a mail by clicking I agree button, scanning your physical signature and pasting it on a PDF, using a one-time password to sign. Now Indian law acknowledges these methods too, but they may not all carry the same evidentiary strength. The most important e-signature method in India today is e-sign, that is an Aadhaar-based digital signing service. So let me just talk about the same in detail. Enabled by the Aadhaar Act 2016 and the IT Act, Aadhaar e-sign allows anyone with an Aadhaar number to instantly sign the document online. Now here's how it works in a nutshell. You input your Aadhaar number, authenticate via OTP sent to your Aadhaar linked mobile or the biometric if available, and an authorized service provider creates a digital signature certificate on the fly to sign that document. This signed document gets the unique digital signature linked to your identity. Aadhaar e-sign is legally valid as it is backed by the Indian Information Technology Act and is treated as a secure electronic signature. In fact, documents signed via Aadhaar e-sign holds the same legal validity as the traditional ink signature as long as the process is followed and it is as per the prescribed guidelines. The Aadhaar Act relationships ensure that this process is secure and the identity is verified through UIDAI, the Unique ID Authority of India. Now it has its own database which verifies this. So the bottom line, an Aadhaar based OTP signature is equal to a legally recognized signature in India. So in practice, what is considered a legal signature? Ideally, a DSC or Aadhaar e-sign, which uses the DSC technology under the hood because they explicitly are recognized and are secured ways. But even a simpler electronic act, say clicking accept on an email offer, can form a contract. The difference lies in how easy it is to prove and enforce, which brings us to our first case study. The email contract that went to court. Let me tell you about this. One of the landmark cases in India that put e-contracts to the test was Trimex International FZE versus Vedanta Aluminium Limited. In this Supreme Court case, a series of emails between the parties formed a contract for supply of some goods. Now, even though no formal document was actually signed physically, when a dispute arose, one side argued that there was no binding contract since no agreement actually was executed with pen and paper. Now, in this case, the Supreme Court completely disagreed. It held that the terms agreed over the email were binding and the exchange of emails actually constituted a valid contract under the Indian laws. Now, despite the absence of a pen and paper ink signature, the court actually treated the email threads, which clearly showed there was an offer, there was an acceptance, there was an intention, and there were consequences. Now, Supreme Court held all of these evidence as a concluded agreement between the parties. This case actually gave a very clear message. Email negotiations can seal the deal. So be as careful as your words on email as you would be in a formal contract. It also reassured business that if they do reach a deal online, Indian laws will back it up, provided that the essential terms of the contracts are clear and they meet the criteria. Now, guys, for all the businesses out there, what is your takeaway from this example? So, if you finalize a contract via any email, ensure that the terms are explicit and leave no ambiguity to interpretation. Courts can enforce it, but only if they can discern a definite offer and acceptance. If your emails are wishy-washy or the subject to the contract, then it's not a solid contract yet. As best practice, once a negotiation is done, have one email where both the parties clearly say agreed to the terms. This email shall confirm our contract. That's the clarity helped in Timex case. In fact, the courts have noted that the email agreements are enforceable only if the terms are clear and unambiguous. In the second case study, let me just tell you, like, the scanned signatures and the pandemic push during COVID-19 lockdowns, now physically meeting to sign papers became impractical. Businesses started signing and exchanging scanned copies of the documents, signed, say, by one party, then emailed as PDF to the other to print, sign, and scan back. It was common to conclude contracts with scanned signatures or even just accepting, like clicking accept via document sign, adopt sign. The raised concerns were that those scanned and digitally signed PDFs, are they even valid in court of law? A recent example from June 2024 shows the judiciary warming up to this reality. The Honorable Delhi High Court, in a case concerning a law firm, that is Singh and Singh trademark case, had to decide if electronically signed and e-notarized document could be accepted in a lawsuit filing. Now, the plaintiff's representation could not meet a notary person, like physically meet the notary person. So she appeared via video call on an online notary platform and digitally signed the document in front of the e-notary. The High Court explicitly validated those electronically signed documents, allowing the e-signed and the e-notarized affidavits and wakalatnama. The wakalatnama is a power of attorney for the lawyer to be taken on record. Now, this was a big boost. It showed that even outside the pure commercial contracts, our courts are embracing the digital execution when it's done securely. So, for all the business owners out there, here is the implication. Indian courts are increasingly receptive to the e-signed documents. In reality, the law was always there, but now we are seeing the practical acceptance. So using a platform to provide an audit trail like the DocSign, Adopt Sign, or government-backed e-sign is actually wise. It leaves a little room for challenge. If challenged, you can show the audit log or the completion certificate from those platforms, which, as was done in this Delhi case, include the video screenshots and a completion certificate provided by the certifying authority. Now, what is the takeaway? If the circumstances force you to use scanned signatures or digital platforms, document the process, guys. Save those email exchanges that say, please find attached the signed PDF. If possible, use Indian e-sign providers or the Aadhaar e-sign for added legal presumptions. Our courts know everyone has been doing this, and as long as it's clearly the parties who signed, they are going to uphold it. Don't just leave any blanks or scope for someone to say that the document was tampered with after signing. Once signed, log the PDF or keep a hash. That is a checksum if you are a tech-savvy guy. Now, in this next segment, I would love to talk about the common pitfalls in the e-contracts and how to avoid them. While e-contracting is convenient, it comes with its own set of pitfalls. Now, here are some common ones for business to business and HR agreements and the tips to steer clear from these troubles. The first is ambiguous online agreements. Now, simply clicking I agree to some terms on a website or shooting off an email like looks good, let's proceed, can be very risky if the actual terms aren't nailed down. Now, if there's later misunderstanding, one side might claim that there was never a consensus on critical points. Now, what can be an avoidance to this? Always make sure that the final agreement, whether in an email or a document link, spells out the key terms like price, quality, deliverables, timeline, etc. If you're using a vendor's online portal agreement, download a copy of the terms that you have accepted for your knowledge, guys. Indian law will enforce the e-contracts, but only if the agreement is complete. A court can't fill the gap for you after the facts are signed. The second important pitfall is unsigned email threads. An email thread can form a contract, but it might look informal. If a dispute arises, the other party could actually cherry pick on the parts of the conversation to claim that there was a final acceptance. Now, to avoid this, conclude the negotiation with a clear acceptance message. Now, for example, yes, we accept your offer as per the email below. Please consider this email as our confirmation to the contract. Better yet, follow up by drawing up a simple MOU or a contractual document recapping the terms and have both parties sign it even if digital. This creates a clean record. Another pitfall is scanned signature copies, guys. Now, many deals are finalized by exchanging the PDFs of signed contracts. The risk is someone later saying, "This wasn't my signature," or "the document was changed subsequent to my signature." Now, to avoid this, use digital signature certificates, DSCs, for important contracts wherever possible. The PDF will then show a blue ribbon or signature validity, which is hard to actually dispute. If you use a scanned signature, consider doing a video call at the time of signing or having an independent witness to e-sign too, and keep those emails transmitting the signed copies. They will serve as evidence of the process. Example, attached is the signed agreement from the person's email account is a good proof that they intend to sign it. Also ensure that no further edits are made to the document after signing, otherwise the chain of integrity is broken, guys. Now, another pitfall is PDF approvals and click wraps. Now, sometimes a manager just writes approved in a PDF or ticks a checkbox in a digital form. That can indicate consent, but it may be challenged as not being proper signature, right? So, how to avoid this? Most PDF softwares allows adding a digital signature field. Use that for a clear audit trail, or at least type the full name and the date so if it looks intentional. For click wrap, like terms accepted by just ticking a box, make sure your system records the action. User ID, timestamps, maybe even the IP address. If a dispute arises, you will need to show this timestamp or the "I agree" thing that you have saved. Implementing even a simple second factor like an OTP confirmation for important agreements can actually fortify the evidence that the person truly consented to it. Another pitfall is authority and consent issues. Now, a common pitfall in a B2B e-contract is who is clicking the accept button. If a junior employee without having the authority agrees on the company's behalf, the company might later claim that the contract isn't binding. Now, similarly, in employee contracts, if the employee claims they never personally e-signed the offer letter and maybe someone in HR ticked the box on their behalf, there could be a trouble. Now, in order to avoid these kind of disputes, clearly designate authorized signatories for e-contracts in your organization. Use unique logins for each signer and don't share the credentials. If you are the one sending out an e-contract to be signed, ensure it's directed to the official representative. For employment offers, it's best to have the new hire personally click or e-sign their acceptance, perhaps through an onboarding portal or by replying to an email with explicit acceptance. Keep those records, guys. Another pitfall, stamp duty and registration. Just because the contract is electronic doesn't mean that you can actually ignore the stamp duty if it's applicable. An unstamped contract beyond a certain value or beyond a transaction type might not be admissible in the court without paying the penalty. Now, to avoid this, check if your contract needs the stamp duty. Example, property leases, high value agreements, etc. Now you can pay e-stamps online in most of the states. Do this either by embedding the e-stamp certificate in the digital document or by later affixing it on the printout within the allowed time period. Similarly, some contracts might require registration with the government office. Those usually can't be done fully online yet, so plan accordingly.